Welcome to Milking the Franchise, the Cash Cow Chronicles, where me and Chris watch movies. No more spooky movies.
It was. I was gonna say it was more fun during October.
I know. I really like that embellishment of the ooh. We're out of the spooky months and we're on to the fun months of RoboCop days. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
It's November. It's time to reflect on what we're thankful for, and Tanner and I are thankful for RoboCop.
RoboCop, general law enforcement. This is
robots, cops. Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, Tanner. Just had a nice 3-day weekend this last weekend and saw some friends. And I have horrible news. I lost my 800-day Duolingo streak. That's probably the most important thing.
Oh my God! And you forgot all the Spanish you've learned.
That's how it works. Yeah, when you lose your streak, all the Spanish goes away. So it's all gone now.
Oh my goodness! What happens when you lose a streak?
I mean, you either start a new one or you do what I'm going to do and you unsubscribe from Duolingo because you haven't really been using it.
Well, I mean, if you wait, how many days streak?
800.
I mean, it sounds like you used it quite a bit.
Well, it got to the point where it was like right before bedtime, and I'd be like, man, I got to do this thing. And I would just go in and do like a matching activity, and then I'd be done. So I wasn't really, it didn't really help with my standard for a while. Yeah.
Just for the streaks and not.
do it for the streak. Yep. So,
wow.
Yeah, I might be taking a step back from my Duolingo.
Yeah.
Anyway. Not
maybe you should just go stand outside and like just talk to people on the street, and
it works better. I do.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. How's your week been?
Oh boy, let's see. Pretty uneventful, I think. Just doing some RoboCop stuff, cleaning up. I had a really busy month last month, so I've been kind of catching up on some stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, but nothing new or exciting, really.
Okay.
It's all RoboCop all the time for me.
There's a lot of RoboCop stuff.
There is.
We could do this franchise for a full year, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of
series and stuff,
merchandising, stuff like that. It became a real cash cow quickly.
Oh yes.
It's the perfect franchise. Speaking of that, this is the show where we watch every movie in a franchise, and we talk about the surrounding IP and everything that gets milked to death in a franchise. That about
absolutely. That's about covers it. You're listening right now to the first episode of our little run of RoboCop movies. So we're going to have 4 episodes on this. But one thing that we like to do as part of this show is we send out a survey each week with some silly prompts, some joke opportunities, and we hope that you guys want to play along. And this week we're reflecting. We've got some survey results from last week, and last week we were watching the Wolfman movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think let me know if I'm out of place here, but I believe we're starting the show with some reflections on Wolfman from 2010.
You're right in place, Chris.
Oh, thank goodness.
Right there. First place.
I was freaking out.
I had a thought maybe we'll do this at some point. Like we could do like the results in like a separate mini episode or something that's released later. We'll kick that around.
I could get down with that. Yeah, instead of starting our show about RoboCop talking about werewolves.
Then we'll have like a half an hour mini episode each week too or something.
Sure, yeah.
Well, we'll kick it around. But
let us know what you think.
Yeah, please. We need feedback.
Tell us.
Ooh. Yes, so we got 6 responses on the Wolfman 2010 survey. We watched the original 1941, and then the remake in 2010 with Benicio del Toro. So we've got some prompts from that. Coolest superpower. Oh, we got shout out to the subreddit again. The Universal Monsters.
Yeah.
And to our werewolf fan, how are Yahoo doing? Um, our biggest
Gold,
fan
dude. That
besides
was gold.
Kevin.
If we could
Thank you.
bottle that, yeah, we would be.
Well, I'm gonna
Number one
isolate that for TikTok, and then we'll
Perfect.
go viral.
Finally, dude. That's what we do this for.
Werewolf talk. I think that's what they call it. Yes. First question: coolest wolf superpower. So they made him like a superhuman in this one, rather than just a wolf-looking man. We got tied between ability to instantly rip a limb off. Lots of limbs flying in this.
So many limbs.
And then skipping rocks, one of his lesser known abilities.
I mean, it was that ability that won over that beautiful woman, Gwen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever taught a girl to skip rocks, Chris?
I don't have that superpower, so no.
Well, you'll have to work on it. It's like juggling. You just gotta practice.
You gotta work on it. Yeah, build it up.
Favorite change from the original to the remake. So we've got the favorite change. Most people voted for that the Wolfman is way more powerful and brutally murders and dismembers people.
People like those flying limbs.
I mean, I voted for that. I thought that was the only good change that like made it an entertaining watch. You know what I mean? Because most of the movie, yeah.
I also voted for that one. Yeah, I agree. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Least favorite change. We got making the dad a werewolf who killed the mom and the brother. So making the dad into like a villain and kind of like the reason that he's a tortured werewolf soul. Yeah,
it added a lot of plot to the movie.
Yeah, we didn't need that. We didn't need plot.
I do want to say, Tanner, I'm looking over your shoulder here. I think it's funny. There's one that appeared on least favorite and most favorite. Gwen being married to his brother. Some people loved it, or one person loved it, one person hated it.
What if it was the same person that voted?
Oh goodness. Maybe it was.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of it was a boring change. I don't know. It was kind of weird that they like fell in love and she was married to his brother.
That is a little weird. Yeah.
But let's see. Next question. Does this movie deserve an Academy Award for Best Makeup, or is it more CGI heavy? The winner of the vote was no, most of the makeup, in quotes, is just CGI. So that's kind of how I felt. I felt like, I mean, there was makeup for sure, but most of the time when you're looking at it, it's like, seemed pretty animated to me, right?
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
But then the movies that it went up against are just dramas with good makeup, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, how many werewolves did those movies have, Tanner? This one had 2.
I'm pretty sure a lot. Barney's version, just full of werewolves. All right. What would you title a sequel to this movie, and what is it about? There shouldn't be a sequel. The Wolfman's Revenge. Return of the Wolfman.
I like those two both.
Wolfman 2, The Quest for Peace. I like that. A law drama about the family's medical malpractice. Involves no werewolves whatsoever. Oh, I like that.
If we set it in Chicago, we could sell it to, is it NBC that does all the Chicago shows?
Oh, I don't know which channel. It sounds about right.
Yeah.
Chicago Fire, Chicago Medical, right?
Chicago Werewolf, and it's just a law drama.
I love it. Next one we got Man Wolf. A wolf changes into a man at night. And must keep this disgusting truth a secret from the other wolves. Oh, it should be during the day.
Oh, during the day. Okay, yeah.
No, yeah, either way. But that is amazing.
Thank you. That one's mine. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Man Wolf.
Mm-hmm. Flip it around.
Last couple here, we got Wolfmen, about a group of wolfmen.
Mm-hmm.
You know how some sequels like just add more of it, and it's like Alien to Aliens.
Aliens. Yeah, just throw an S on the end and you're good.
It should be Wolfmans.
Wolfmans. Yeah.
Wolfmans is the sequel. Wolfmen is the third movie. There it is.
Okay.
And then the Wolfman 2, Hairier and Scarier.
Ooh, I like that. Always a fan of some rhyming.
What dance move would you like to see the dancing bear do? The werewolf howl.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a dance. We got dab, the gritty, whip and nay nay, and a floss and another gritty.
Oh,
And then we
man.
got a question mark from somebody who is very confused by our questions.
I think they're from the town in Footloose and they don't know what dancing is. You confuse them with the question.
Dancing.
Dancing?
What
do you mean dancing?
What type? How would you type out a wolf howl?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't going to translate very well.
Yeah,
But, we did get another question mark. Very confused.
Uh-huh.
But there. Okay, actually, we got awoo, 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 cookie crisp, and oh, ooh, woo, 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 ooh, woo, woo. How was that?
Amazing delivery on that, Tanner. That was perfect.
Somebody went the like ooh woo woo route or whatever.
Like OWO, that thing.
Yeah.
UWU. Yeah.
Yep. Ooh woo.
Ooh.
Cookie crisp. That's cute.
Mm-hmm. Remember they were wolves.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Oh,
they
okay.
Cookie crisp.
That makes it better. Now it's even better. And then we asked you to rate the Wolfman. It got the highest rating or the most votes were for 2 out of 5. So people don't like this movie really.
Yep.
It might be the worst reviewed one we've done. No, the source had to be worse.
Yeah.
All right, then we got some general wrap-up questions for the Wolfman franchise real quick. Favorite Wolfman, we got 5 voted for the original 1941, and somebody did vote for the new one. Surprise. But who was the better Lawrence Talbot? 100% Lon Chaney.
It's the only answer.
And then what should they do with the Wolfman / Universal Monster IP next? The most votes went to a new Dark Universe / Universal Monster Universe.
People want it.
People want it. I mean,
people want the dark universe.
The monster rallies. Let's get some rallies going.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants a direct sequel. So 2 people voted for the Wolf Woman, which I threw in there as an option. Wolf Woman. It's about time. And then somebody wrote in their own answer here. Let's see. Release it into the public domain. If somebody asks for a sequel, release a public statement explaining that Universal doesn't know what werewolves are. Just deny.
Yeah, no culpability, man.
Yeah, I think Monster Rally Universe would be pretty rad if they did it right.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Well, let's get rid of that. Let's get out of spooky season. I'm too scared.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say on that?
Grab your blankie, Tanner. I know you're feeling scared, but it's all going to be okay. There's a new police officer who's going to keep you nice and safe.
It's also a hybrid. You know, it's a kind of a nice. It's like a hybrid person. It's a half human, half robot. Yeah.
We went from half wolf, half man to half robo, half cop.
Is that what you're trying to say? Half RoboCop. Because he's part man. Half man, half robo, half cop.
What if that's the Wolfman sequel?
Man RoboCop.
Man Robo Wolf Man RoboCop.
Where
okay. Yeah, let's change gears here a little bit. Let's talk RoboCop, yeah?
Nah.
Tanner's not into it.
I don't want to. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get out of here. Chris, where do you want to start? This movie came out in 1987. That was a great year.
Mm-hmm.
The year I was born. What about
Also
you?
the year I was born. It's a good one.
It was a very good year. Some awesome action movies came out that year, like Predator,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what else. But RoboCop came out that year, directed by Paul Verhoeven, a great director. Did Starship Troopers
Yep.
and Total Recall, and of course Showgirls.
He did
Uh,
Showgirls? I did not know that. Okay.
yeah, it was trying to be campy and what am I trying to say? Satirical and stuff like that, but it didn't come out quite right. And I don't think he made a big movie after that. Really, kind of ruined his career. I could be wrong. Actually, Starship Troopers came out after that. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway,
And that's its own franchise. We could do that one at some point.
the Showgirls franchise.
I was going to say Starship Troopers,
Starship Troopers. That's right. Are there sequels to that?
Tanner, why are you at the strip club again? I'm doing research for Showgirl.
Did you know that these ladies take their clothes off?
Yeah. Dude, there's 4 Starship Trooper movies.
Really? Oh man.
Yeah.
I feel like only the first one was like even in theaters.
You might be right on that, but there are 4 of the movies.
There's video games too.
Okay.
Sweet. Well, yeah, we're going to talk about RoboCop, and later I played some video games, and we read some stuff, and we watched some stuff, so we'll talk about that after, but let's recap the movie for you. If you haven't seen it, it's awesome.
Yeah, just go see it.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
End of pod.
No, let's see. We start with Media Break. This movie uses a lot of satire, and it does it with fake advertisements, and then there's like news reporters that kind of come in and out. And so we start with, "This is Media Break. You give us 3 minutes and we'll give you the world."
Love it.
And the president is in space on a peace probe. And we get a fake ad for a family heart center, which sells fake hearts, and they'll put them in your body, which, I don't know, probably connects to cyborgs, right?
It's like a Yamaha heart, I remember, is one of the things.
Yeah.
And you get health tax credits back on your tax return if you get one.
Better than one of the dumb meat hearts.
At the end, he says, "And remember, we care." What else? Yeah, what else do we have in this opening scene here?
There's a little bit of newsreel. They use the newsreel at the beginning to kind of introduce you to some of the big players. So we meet Omni Consumer Products, OCP, which is the big evil corporation, and we meet Dick Jones, who's he's on the board. I think they called him the division president. So he's not quite the top guy, but he's
the number 2 guy, which he says later.
Yep. And then we also still through like this newsreel thing at the beginning, we meet Clarence Bodiger, who's played by Kurtwood Smith, who is Red from that 70s show. And he's the unofficial crime boss of Old Detroit. So it kind of uses that newsreel at the top to, like, I don't know, give you a bunch of stuff that they're going to use throughout the movie.
And they mentioned that 31 cops have been killed in Old Detroit, talking about how bad the crime is getting, and this sets up where they're going with the city. Yeah.
Yep.
I think after that, it kind of transfers into the precinct where, is it Alex Murphy?
I didn't catch his first name.
Alex Murphy is being transferred into Old Detroit from wherever he was from. So he's the new cop on the beat. And all the cops are complaining about how unsafe it is, and they want to strike, but they say the commissioner or whatever is like, cops don't strike. And he is put on with a new partner, and her name is played by Nancy Allen Lewis.
Lewis, yeah, Officer Lewis.
Yeah, so it just sets up
you meet her kicking ass. She's like beating up a suspect in the hallway of the police station.
I like how it kind of starts off with the commissioner guy. He's talking to some lawyers, and they're like, "Oh, come on, attempted murder. It's not like you killed someone." Talking about their client.
Yeah.
So many things like that are just like these like humorous moments that show how just rotten everything is in this city. Really, really good like world building through
I
like
agree.
comedic satire and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you can take this movie a lot of ways. You can watch it as a satire. You can watch it as like a straightforward action movie. It's got, I don't know, it's got a lot of little things for different people, I think.
definitely.
Yeah, and then yeah, so we kind of meet the main characters in the precinct. There's a little, I kind of like the little jostle for the front seat. You know, they're like, you know, new cop or the lady cop, like who's alpha in this pairing. And yeah, so that's kind of the characters to start the movie, and then we go to OCP headquarters. Do you have anything else from the station before we move on here, Tanner?
No, what does it stand for? Omni Consumer Products.
Yes, sir. Omni Consumer Products. I love their logo. That octagon with the letters on it is just so ominous, I think.
Oh, I didn't quite catch it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, pull it up there. But yeah, so
Oh yeah. Okay.
we get we meet let's see, what's that guy's name? Miguel Ferrer is the actor's name, and he is playing a character.
Yeah, it's
Put it down
Bob.
to
What is it here?
my apologies.
Whatever. Yeah, he's the
Yeah, his name is Bob. And yeah, so he is on his way to a boardroom meeting, and he has been working on some sort of robot.
Morton.
Bob Morton, thank you. And he's been played by Miguel Ferrer, who I remember from the movie Blank Check. He's a great like bad guy.
Oh
He's
yeah.
just kind of sleazy looking bad guy. R.I.P. Also, I think he died a couple years ago. But he's great in this, and he's on the way to the boardroom. And Dick Jones, the guy we met at the very beginning, the number 2 in command at OCP, is describing how they're planning on turning old Detroit into this new, like, shiny Delta City. And they're going to do it in 6 months, but first they have to get rid of the crime that is infesting old Detroit. And what does Dick Jones have, Tanner, to get rid of the crime in the city?
Ed 9. Ed 209.
Ed 209.
ED 209, which what does it stand for here? I had it. Enforcement Droid 209. And it's like a giant robot thing. I don't know how to describe it. It's got huge legs and 2 massive like machine guns for arms.
Yeah.
And it's fucking pretty badass. It kind of moves. It comes in and it moves. Is that stop motion?
I think it must be, right? The way that they filmed it, you're talking?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if
Yeah.
it was like claymation or stop motion, because it kind of has a weird, funny way of moving. But it looks awesome.
Yeah.
I think they're miniatures. Maybe it says stop motion.
Yeah. It kind of looks like a wind up toy zoomed in on, but you're right. It's like yeah. It kind of reminded me of like a Star Wars robot, like a big robot with big legs and guns and stuff. And so this is their plan. OCP is planning to deploy these giant robots, or this is Dick Jones's plan, is to deploy these robots throughout old Detroit to bring down crime. And so as a demonstration, Dick Jones asked for somebody to come up and pull a weapon on the Ed 209. And they get a volunteer. He pulls the weapon, and Ed 209 gives it 20 seconds to comply, to put down the weapon.
Yeah. It, however, glitches and does not. The guy puts the weapon down. It's just one of the guys in the boardroom, and they're all impressed initially, but it does not stop the timer when he puts the gun down, and it kills this guy brutally in the middle of the board meeting.
Brutal murder.
And it's like a horrific. Like they treat it as a horrific moment for people mostly.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, it's cartoony, it's crazy, but not cartoony, but I don't know. It's pretty wild. It like made me laugh, but only because it's like just so outrageous, you know?
Yeah. But
Um,
it is a brutal death, and
yeah.
this dead guy takes 30 bullets, and he lands on the kind of the display of the new Delta City, just covered in blood, and it's super brutal.
Yeah. So like, yeah, they're trying to this company's trying to like profit, right, off the unprofitable kind of stuff. They talked about prisons, hospitals, and now law
Yep.
enforcement. They're trying to profit off of um, real sick stuff here. But they kind of move on. They're like, "Oh, this is going to cost me $50 million."
America would never do that, dude.
Hell no,
We would never.
we would never profit off of hospitals, prisons. No.
No. That's ridiculous. Those are for the common good. So after
Yeah,
this brutal murder, the CEO, the top guy, is really upset with Dick Jones because his robot just murdered someone in the boardroom. And Bob Morton sees this as his opening, and he sneaks in to pitch the top guy on his version of like a robot cop. And and the CEO bites. So he gets to pitch his version of a robot cop instead of Ed 209. It's RoboCop.
yeah. So they pitch like a human. They just need a volunteer basically to become RoboCop. Is kind of what he says.
Yep.
And then after this board meeting, it cuts to our main antagonist, Clarence Boddicker.
Mm-hmm.
And they are him and his like gang of ne'er do wells are driving a truck down the street, full of they had just like robbed a bank or something, I believe.
Yep.
And he's getting pissed off at the guy because they had to blow the doors open to the vault, and all the money is burned. A lot of little touches here. This God, Kurtwood Smith is so good in this.
I love his performance in this. He's so good. Yeah. And I also love. I don't know. Do you watch Twin Peaks? Because they got Ray Wise as one of the bad guys too. Also,
I never got his actual name, but yeah, I keep calling him Twin Peaks guy throughout this. So that's how I'm going to refer to him as.
Great. Yeah, I didn't write down his character name. I just wrote Ray Wise. So yeah,
Ray Wise. Yeah, so they rob this bank, and Murphy and Lewis show up and are trying to take them down and catch them. Shooting out the window. There's a chase and a gunfight here. At one point, Kurtwood Smith grabs one of the guys. I think the guy that burned the money that he was yelling at. And he opens the back of the door. They're all shooting at him and says, "Can you fly, Bobby?" And he throws him on the cop car.
Super messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. And that kind of gets some distance between him and Murphy.
Yeah, it gives the van just enough time to escape the cop car with Murphy and Lewis inside.
But they follow them to a what is that, like a warehouse or like a steel mill or something?
Yeah, it looked. I don't know. Like it looked like gasworks in Seattle. It's like this giant iron rusted factory warehouse kind of a thing. And we'll see it a couple more times throughout the movie. But but they follow the bad guys, Kurtwood Smith and his gang there. And try and apprehend them at this point. So Lewis ends up getting kind of knocked out, and Murphy ends up finding a couple guys watching TV. He kills one of them and captures the other, but he gets totally surrounded, right? There's like 10 dudes there, and he's super outmatched at this point, and Lewis is a little bit behind. She's not caught up with him.
Yeah, so Lewis gets like shot in her bulletproof vest, so she's okay, but when she sneaks up on a guy taking a piss, and he turns around and with his hands up and says, "Mind if I zip this up?" Because his like dick is still hanging out.
Thank you. That was a great line. That was a big omission by me.
And she she briefly like looks down just like real quick at it, trying not to break eye contact. Right when she looks down at it, he shoots her, which is just a funny little touch there. And so yeah, back in the room where he's totally surrounded, he goes in there and he says his line. This is how later on they recognize that it's Alex Murphy. He says, "Dead or alive, you're coming with me." classic RoboCop line there.
Yep.
And yeah, he gets overwhelmed and they just fucking torture him basically.
Yeah, Kurtwood. What's Kurtwood Smith's name again in this movie? His character
Clarence Boddicker.
Boddicker shoots off his hand, and the minions cackle, and they just unload like so many bullets into this guy. He somehow survives because he's wearing a bulletproof vest, but then Clarence Boddicker puts one in his head at the very end. And Lewis was there to see most of this, but there wasn't much she could do because if she had kind of gone out there, there were 6 or 8 dudes with guns.
Yeah. Yeah. So he dies, and the boys waste him. And I don't got anything else on that. Do you?
No, kind of at the end of this, there's like a helicopter rescue, so they do manage to like get whatever's left of him, his remains, to the medical facility, so that because the OCP has found their volunteer, right? It's going to be the RoboCop for Bob's RoboCop,
RoboCop Bob. Yeah, so they take him, and it kind of goes into a scene of him in the ER, and then it flashes. They give up and they stop trying to. They report him dead, and it kind of turns black, and then turns into like a video camera feed, and then you see first-person view of what they're doing to him, basically, with turning him into RoboCop over a long period of time, series of months and months. They even show them like. At one point, it's New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, and they're kind of like celebrating in front of him, and he gets a kiss on the face. So he becomes their little project here. And
all that footage is kind of cut with like flashbacks from his life, so like shots of his son and his wife, and then a bunch of shots of Boddicker and the other bad guys that kind of shot him up. So even as they're putting him back together, you can tell there's a little bit of whatever Murphy was that's kind of tucked in to what they're building.
Yeah, they mentioned that they're gonna get rid of his normal arm, who was which was supposed to be fine, and then blank his memory. So they want to be mostly machine, which I don't even know why they need a human form at all for what they're doing. But I guess yeah.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know the science behind it, but that's okay. So after this,
when they went full robot with Ed 209, Ed 209 shot a dude. So maybe they're using a little bit of that human decision making.
Yeah, and it's less like scary for people to see on the street if he's kind of half human. Maybe you see the face.
Sure.
I think that's maybe part of it. Yeah, so RoboCop has been completed, and they immediately take him into the precinct. And they kind of just go over like the details of him. They have to sit in this chair basically under watch and surveillance when he's not out on the street. But they mentioned that he eats like, what is it? Organic paste.
The robot suit creates this gross like Gerber baby food for the organic parts of his cyborg figure, and it has this gross glooping sound that goes with it.
And then one of the guys that was in the board meeting, it's all the board guys, and they're all looking at this RoboCop, introducing him, talking about him, and the guy tastes the paste and kind of likes it.
Yeah,
tastes like baby food, he says. So that's his slop that he eats. And he can be tracked at all times. So that'll come into play later, of course. When he gets turned on for the first time, you see his main 3 prime directives, which are serve the public trust, protect the innocent, and uphold the law.
Yep. 3 prime directives. I also love that scene when they first turned him on. It shows like the scientists through his point of view, like arguing, and I don't know. I just really liked how they kind of introduced him that way, like first person POV from him.
Yeah, the opening POV shots are really good in these scenes here, and I think next it moves to he's kind of just become a cop and just thrown in the middle of all these other cops, and he's at the shooting range, just blasting away and hitting every target perfectly
with a cannon, with a gun.
gun.
Oh, the bullets in that thing.
And they all like stop and watch him, or like, what the hell, this RoboCop guy? And Lewis notices him. There's a little thing earlier where he was spinning his gun because his son, he spins his gun and puts it in his holster, kind of like this guy on TV that his son watched and was like, "Dad, can you do that?" So now RoboCop, this is like his one little thing that remains him, right? Is spinning the gun and putting it away. And she notices that and picks up on it, kind of like wondering if was her ex-partner. Her partner of a few hours, by the way.
Yes.
They were only partners for a couple hours.
For one assignment,
Trip.
right?
Yeah. They literally just drove away and immediately all that happened.
Yeah.
But she sees that, and then he's off on his first patrol. He gets sent out. He gets some car keys. They hand him a car key, and he's off. First of all, the music when he first goes off, I forgot that RoboCop kind of has an iconic little song. It's a good one. I like it.
Yeah, no, I agree. The music in this movie is really fun.
Speaking of that, when I played the first RoboCop game the other day,
yeah,
I'll talk more about it later, but the opening song and the credits, like, it hit me so hard. It's like such a good video game song, and I was not expecting it. I'll have to play it for you.
Please, when we get to the milk, I want to hear that for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So then we get some awesome clips of him just going around the city, saving the day.
Doing the job of a robot cop. So he like stumbles upon someone robbing a gas station, and it's or am I jumping ahead? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, yeah, it's the driver from the crew earlier.
Wait, no. That's maybe. Yeah, you're jumping way ahead.
I think I am jumping ahead. Sorry,
this is he goes into like the convenience store, and there's a guy holding it up, trying to get all their money and opening the safe. It's a little old couple, and he goes in there and just like wastes the guy. He bends the gun barrel and like throws him into the beer fridge and walks away. This is where you see, though, at the beginning of this scene in the convenience store, the infamous line from TV. There's some guy who has this catchphrase, and it's "I'd buy that for $1."
Yeah.
And everyone's laughing every time they show him on TV. Everyone just thinks it's so funny. It's such a great line. I don't even know how to describe why it's so good.
But they use it a bunch of times throughout the movie. I think I counted 4. But it's like this recurring bit. It's just like a buzz phrase. And
it's like anytime he sees like a couple hot ladies, and he's like, "I'd buy that for $1." Well, it's not even about that, though. It's not. It's just like anything that's good. He just kind of says that as his phrase. But I also love just how people love it and react to it, and it's just this guy saying this stupid one-liner. So that happens. The next scene quickly goes to like a girl that's getting like attacked in the street by a couple of creeps, and maybe leading to a rape or something. They like cut her hair and are just being super creepy, and RoboCop shows up, and he stops them basically. So
he sure does. Yeah.
How does he stop them?
This scene is also great. The way they use shadows, like they have
this
shadow of RoboCop on the wall behind these dudes.
So he looks so massive,
so big. Yeah. And one of the guys is holding this woman in front of her as like a human shield, and again another just like comical, over the top, violent kind of ending to this scene. He calculates the perfect shot, and it's through the woman's legs. She's wearing a dress, and he shoots between her legs and hits the perp, the nighttime creep, right in the dick. It's like a perfect perfect shot.
Like
go.
He's like just shooting, aiming at her basically, and it's like you see from his vision, it says like protect the innocent or something. It says one of his prime
Yeah.
directives, and then he's like lowers his aim a little bit and shoots between her legs, right into his dick, and
Yeah.
then catches the other guy. And he looks at her. She's like, "Thank you," and hugs him. And he says, "Ma'am, you have suffered an emotional shock. I will notify a rape crisis center." Um, and she just kind of like looks at him like, "What the fuck?" Another good moment.
I also love the line right after he shot that guy. He just goes, "Your move, creep."
Yeah, your move,
Yeah.
creep. There's a line in the previous scene where he says, "Thank you for cooperation. Thank you for your cooperation. Good night." Just comes in, wastes this guy, and is just like, "Thank you for your cooperation. Good night," and walks away. It's classic RoboCop stuff. I love it.
Absolutely. It's what you come for.
Let's see here. What happens? I think there's a third scene. Oh
Uh,
yeah, this some guy
right
takes a
after that is
mayor.
like the terrorist takeover at the mayor's office. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody who's like, I think they said he's part of the board or something, but he goes nuts. Takes the mayor's hostage. He demands a new car. And he says, "Don't jerk me around, Lieutenant. When people jerk me off, I come. Or I kill them." I don't know. What did he say right here?
I didn't write down that line.
He says, okay, I had to look it up because he says, "Don't jerk me off, Lieutenant. When people jerk me off, I kill them. Want to see?"
Okay.
And it sounds like when people jerk me off, I come. And I was just, I watched it like 3 times. And I was like, there's no way that's
There's
what
no
he
way
says.
they wrote that into this movie. Yeah.
But then I thought this guy directed Showgirls, and they have a lot of like vulgar language in that, and try to be like edgy and stuff. So I thought
Yeah.
maybe he was like he said something like that, but turns out he says, "I kill them." Anyway, that
Yeah.
was a moment for me. And RoboCop shows up. And they're trying to talk this guy down, not working. RoboCop shows up, looks through the wall, sees through the wall, and grabs him, pulls him through the wall, and throws him out the window.
Yeah.
So, RoboCop does it all. He is a hostage negotiator. He saves women, he saves small businesses. He's doing it all.
He's doing it all. And this one in particular, because it was like a hostage situation at town hall, there were obviously a bunch of news cameras there, and so this event in particular kind of makes him a star. And meanwhile, Bob Morton at OCP has also kind of a star. His new robot enforcement unit is on the news and getting praise from people in old Detroit. And so we kind of see him. Are you good on that scene? Are we good to move on to OCP? Okay, cool.
Well, he's on
yeah,
on the news, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he gets on the news, and the newscaster asks him, "What would you say to kids out there?" And it comes across more as a threat than like advice, but it's just stay out of trouble.
That's what Morton says.
RoboCop says that. Sorry.
RoboCop says that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they show him with kids.
Yeah.
Morton says that he's projecting the end of crime in 40 days. So
Yeah.
that's kind of their like objective, is to end crime completely. There's also a nice commercial here. So many great, just like funny commercials in this.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know, it's like that episode of Rick and Morty where they have the random. Did you ever watch that? Those random like channels or whatever that they go to, and just all this crazy random shit, or like a SNL commercial or something. It's just like a lot of these little like moments like that they throw in that are a nice touch. And this is a board game like Battleship, but it's called Nukem, and you're just like dropping nukes on the other people.
Just making a game out of nuclear war. No big deal.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. No, these ads I think are great, and it also is like, this movie would be so dark and gritty if, well, maybe not so dark and gritty, but I think it adds some nice levity. It's like the comic relief throughout this thing. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, the satire. And so I think you're back at the boardroom or something like that, and or back at the company, and he's like, "Hey, you want to his coworker's like, "Hey, you want to do something later?" But he's like, "I got a couple models coming over later, so I can't." This is Bob Morton because now he's a celebrity and he's got these chicks all liking him. And his friend says, "I'd buy that for $1," which I
Yep.
just furthers that like this is like a thing that everybody likes and watches in this world.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just like it's like one of those SNL, like you mentioned SNL. It's like an SNL buzzword, like the
yeah,
making copies, or
yeah, exactly.
it's like one of those. They have their own one of these in this universe. It's
Or very nice. It's like in the mid 2000s when we're all
yes,
quoting Borat or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so they go into their executive bathroom and they need a card to open. Um, and he's talking shit about Dick Jones at the urinal with his buddy. And then what happens?
Oh, he calls him a pussy. He's using all sorts of colorful language. Very very mean things he's saying about Dick Jones. And Dick Jones is in one of the stalls, so he's listening to all this go down. And everyone else in the bathroom kind of realizes what's going on and leaves. So it's just Morton and Dick Jones at this point. And Dick Jones threatens him, "You just fucked with the wrong guy." And he kind of makes a point at this point in the movie, like he is looking for ways to bring down the RoboCop because he doesn't like Bob Morton, and so he doesn't want to see his RoboCop project succeed.
Yeah.
You have
There's a
anything
lot
else
of
from that scene?
corporate
Yeah.
peacocking and dick swinging and stuff like that here.
Yes, big
I
time.
like how he says, I used to call my boss a lot of funny names like Iron Butt, Boner, and sometimes
Yeah,
even Asshole. Iron Butt. What
yeah.
is that?
I don't know, but I feel like a good prompt for this week would be like come up with some more sick burns that Dick Jones would come up with in the vein of Iron Butt and Asshole.
What would
Yeah,
you want to call your boss? Yeah,
yeah.
behind his back.
Mhm.
Yeah, so after this the bathroom scene here, it's back to RoboCop and he is in the chair, I guess asleep or charging or whatever he does in the chair. I
Yep.
guess, is it like supposed to be
Eating
like
that
charging?
goo.
Yeah, eating goo.
Maybe he's
And
charging. Yeah,
yeah, I assume that's what he would, because I was thinking, why wouldn't he just be on the beat 24/7 if he's a
yeah,
robot? But he probably needs to recharge at some point. Um, and it's he's like dreaming, so his stats or whatever are off the charts. But nobody's really noticing this, and he's kind of freaking out, and he's thinking of his old life and remembering things. And he's like flipping out, and he escapes the chair and just walks away, basically. Um, and then everyone's kind of chasing after him, like, no, he can't leave. We got to shut him down. And he runs into Lewis in the hallway, and she's like, hey, what's your name? Are you Murphy? And he doesn't remember anything, kind of walks past her. And they get really mad at her for like talking to him, which I
yeah,
didn't really understand why. Like, she just, like, it wasn't her fault that he left the chair. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so
And
he gets in the
he's
car, and
famous. Like, who wouldn't want to talk to RoboCop? You know,
I wanted his
he was
autograph.
on the
Yeah.
news. Yeah.
I just
I
wanted his
also love
autograph.
when he excused himself from that conversation. I like laughed out loud. He goes, "I have to go somewhere. There is a crime happening."
Yeah.
And I just thought that was like such a funny way to end a conversation.
Great.
He's gonna go find a crime.
That's how I'm going to sign off from our podcast every week.
Perfect. I can't wait to hear it.
Somewhere there's a podcast happening. I've got to go.
Yes. Yeah.
Somewhere there's IP being milked. I must leave.
Uh-huh. It is
Um,
happening. I will go.
yeah. So he is on a tear now. Now he wants, like, he doesn't know why he's kind of chasing after these criminals all of a sudden, but he's got the memory of it. I can't remember how he finds the guy that he's chasing after.
He just runs into the driver. So I'm sorry. This was what I was trying to talk about before. I
Oh,
was
okay.
full page
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah.
But
So he just
he
is
goes
out there
to-
doing, like, helping crimes, and he happens to run into this guy, right? Is that what it is?
Yes. And the guy recognizes him because of what you said, like the line that he dropped. The "You're coming with me, dead or alive."
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy recognizes him and says, "I know you. You're dead. We killed you." And so this scene ends with the bad guy kind of starting a huge fire at this gas station. RoboCop shoots out his motorcycle, but that's kind of the end of the scene. He gets away, or does he get brought in?
I can't remember.
Okay. We see him later in the movie. So if he does get brought in, he escapes. But we cut back to the station, and RoboCop is able to kind of use some facial recognition stuff to identify not only this guy, but also his known accomplices, which includes Ray Wise, who we talked about before, and then also our boy Kurtwood Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This facial recognition thing, there's a little, keep hinting at it, but in that game that I played, there's a moment where you do this exact scene and like put some facial features together to identify a guy. It's kind of fun.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so he gets all the known accomplices of that guy, and it's kind of like he's sort of starting to remember, and he doesn't know why he wants to take out these guys. But then he does see the picture. Did you already say this? The picture of himself deceased.
I did not bring that up. No. Yeah.
And it's kind of him just sort of remembering or being like, hey, this was me, but he's a machine, so he doesn't quite realize what's happening yet, I don't think.
Yep.
But he does get the address for where he used to live from this database, and he goes there and sees his old house, and now he's like just walking around the house and getting hit with all the memories heavily. But his family's gone. His family has moved out. The house is for sale.
But just walking
around
through the house is triggering a bunch of flashbacks for him. Yeah.
Seeing his son, and like he walks into the bedroom, sees his wife, and she's like, wants to fuck him probably. He misses being able to have sex. So then he's really mad. So now he's pissed off. And RoboCop has finally, I think, like come out of his, the human side has come out a little bit all of a sudden.
Yeah. He kind of is connecting with his own identity from before, and he wants a little bit of revenge on the crew of boys.
Yeah, so he heads to the club. I don't know how he knows where these guys are necessarily, but he goes to the club. No one bats an eye that RoboCop is walking around this dance club. This machine man. Like, nobody's like, what the fuck? It's just like he's just walking through a really crowded bar. And then he finds Twin Peaks guy, and there's a little showdown. Then he tries to kick him in the balls, but he doesn't work. He grabs him by the hair and drags him out, and is gonna ask a bunch of questions of where to find the other guys, pretty much. And
I love Ray Wise's face in those scenes. He is like so expressive.
Yeah, he's got a great
club.
He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think it goes back to Mr. Bob Morton there, the inventor of RoboCop, and he is at his place with the ladies that we talked about.
With the ladies, like he said, he's following through.
Just having a nice tame night, right? Just watching watching Johnny Carson or something. No, he's doing a bunch of cocaine off of their titties.
He sure is, yes. Normally this is a family show, but we have to talk about it. It was in the movie.
No family.
I'm just kidding.
I think the whole family is going to sit down together and listen
to RoboCop. Yeah.
Listen to us talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's having fun doing coke off titties. No, there's no problem, right?
Well, there's no problem until Clarence shows up, and he busts through the door and just drops the line, "Bitches leave." And the two women,
bitches leave.
Amazing, yeah. I
want to get so rich and powerful I can say that line. Oh.
Yeah. Someday, Tanner. Someday, with your podcasting fortune, you'll be able to drop that line whenever you want. Yeah. So Clarence shows up. He ends up shooting Bob's legs. So Bob is on the ground bleeding, and he puts a DVD in of Dick Jones talking, which is a huge alpha move. This whole scene is like
dude.
From before when he was talking about Iron Butt and like like Bob called him a pussy, and like it kind of seemed like this was the
He did
new
not
guard
like
coming for the old guard. But man, Dick Jones does not mess around. And
Dude, the biggest flex here is that he has DVD technology like 10 years early. It's pretty
that is a big
badass.
flex, huge flex. Yeah.
I was expecting VHS tape, but nope, DVD.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, so this is very menacing. Just like he threatens him, says "fuck you." He did you mention that he gets shot in the legs here?
Yeah, I did mention that.
Yeah. So then on the tape, he's like, "You fucked with the wrong guy." So he basically, he hired Bedecker to kill him. And
Yep.
Bedecker fucking takes a grenade, bites the pin out with his teeth slowly, puts it down. The time on this grenade is like 20 seconds, which I didn't realize grenades took that long to explode. Maybe these ones do, but
I'm not
he
familiar with all the grenade technology. Maybe they've gotten like longer timers at this point.
yeah, there's some
Yeah.
that take only like 3 seconds to explode, some that are like 20, 30, 40 seconds, however long this takes.
Yeah.
Because he pulls it out, sets it on the table, walks out of the house slowly. But because he got shot in the legs, he's like trying to crawl to the grenade and get it out of there, but it doesn't work. He explodes and dies.
R.I.P. Bob.
He says, "I'm cashing you out, Bob."
Yeah. Right before that line, too, he says, it helps to think of it like a game. There's a winner and a loser, which is a brutal thing to say to somebody right before you murder them.
Dude, it's like a Saw scenario.
Dude, yeah. Dick
like,
Jones is,
he's
Jigsaw. Hardcore, man. He is Jigsaw, yeah.
He literally, because of his legs, it's like, all right, you gotta, if you can escape this, you can live. But anyway, so after this, now you know that this company is absolutely corrupt, or at least Dick Jones is.
Yeah.
And it goes to Bedecker and the crew confronting or going to some like drug guy's place. It's like a massive warehouse where they make drugs, it looks like.
It's like a cocaine factory.
Cocaine factory, yeah.
Yeah. And this scene was insane. Like throughout this scene, there's just white powder floating through the air. It's like,
is there?
It's just everywhere. There's so many bullets.
Oh yeah. Well, they're kind of talking about we can like run this town or something together, bunch of stuff like that. And there's a weird moment where he takes the other boss's like glass of wine and sticks his 2 fingers in there and then smells it.
Yes.
What was that all about?
I don't know. It's just Kurtwood Smith, like
power move, I guess.
Being a power move, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like he's just like riffing all these crazy things. I feel like throughout this movie, like I'm just gonna do these like weird, take a chance moments, and it really sticks out. But yeah, like you said, RoboCop shows up, busts the door down, wastes everybody in the room, just annihilates everyone, except for Bedecker, of course.
Except for Bedecker, he tracks down Bedecker after this crazy scene in the warehouse with, like I mentioned, just like white powder in the air, just bullets all over the place. He catches up with Bedecker, and he's holding Bedecker, and Bedecker flips on Dick Jones and rats him out. And that's important because RoboCop records everything, so he has now video of Bedecker saying that it was Dick Jones, and Dick Jones. It's a lot of this is coming straight from him.
Yeah. So after he turns in Kurtwood Smith or whatever, throws him to the cops, and then he's like, "Give me my phone call, be out of this, no problem." But right after that, RoboCop goes straight to the office of Dick Jones, marches up there, and Dick Jones is just kind of waiting for him, opens the door for him and everything. And RoboCop can't seem to arrest him. So he starts, all of a sudden you see there's a 4th directive show up on his screen, which he programmed in there to make it so RoboCop can never arrest a senior officer or like a CEO or anyone from the company, basically. So it's
too real,
net.
dude. Too real.
Know.
Yeah.
Little safety net they programmed in there, and RoboCop is unable to do anything. Although he's like sort of fighting it, his human side is like trying to fight it a little bit.
Yeah, they call it Directive 4, right? Because he's got the first three
Yeah.
directives that they talk about a lot, and this is the fourth one. Dick Jones cannot be arrested. He drops the line, "We can't have our products turning against us," because they always refer to RoboCop as a product. This is our IP. Look at that, Tanner. Right here on the show.
Full circle.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of their other products, his old model that he's really trying to push, Ed 209. He unleashes him on RoboCop. Such a great scene here for so many ways.
Yes.
So there's kind of a showdown. He's like chasing him through the halls. At one point, he covers up. He like uses his hand to cover up the rocket or the machine gun or whatever it is on the Ed 209's hand, and it explodes internally. So he destroys one of the guns that way. And then just this so good.
I had that as him using one arm to shoot the other arm. But either way, he takes out one of the two arms from the
I thought it was like
he
plugged it up. That's how I saw it.
Either way is great.
I saw it wrong.
Yeah.
But either way, he's fighting him, and they come to a staircase, and he starts running down the stairs. And this scene is just so good.
So good. It's so good. Yeah.
The giant robot thing has these like triple-toed, pronged like feet, whatever you want to call that, and he's like instantly comes to the stairs and is like scared to step on the stairs and follow RoboCop down. And there's just kind of this comedic moment where he's like puts his feet out there, tries to slowly walk down the stairs, instantly tumbles down the stairs on its back, and like a wounded, like an animal or like a baby or something,
like a turtle stuck on its back.
Yeah, that's what it was. And he's kind of kicking and screaming and like it almost sounds like he's crying. They made it sound like squealing, making these noises. It's so funny.
And it's such a come down from this machine that like we saw murder someone in the first, like the opening scene of the movie. This thing can't do stairs. It has this huge glaring weakness that would make it a terrible police officer, you know?
Oh my God. So good.
Yeah.
So then RoboCop is able to get down the stairs, no problem, to the bottom. And then he gets attacked by a bunch of cops. Some of them don't want to be shooting him, but they had orders to destroy RoboCop. And yeah. Oh, he's kind of like getting shot to hell, and he's like falling down layers of the parking garage, and gets saved by Lewis. So Lewis takes him and puts him in her car.
Yeah.
And we get another commercial here after this.
Which commercial was this one? Remind me.
This was for the car, the 6000 SUX. The 6000 sucks. And it gets 8.2 miles per gallon.
It's an American tradition. It's on the ad. Yeah, 8.2 miles per gallon.
Yeah, because bigger is better.
Yep.
And some more news things. They talk about how there's like a space laser that accidentally went off and destroyed 10,000 acres of land in an instant.
Including two presidents. But it's the same.
Two ex-presidents died in this, and they kind of just move along.
No like obituaries for them. Just the Strategic Defense Peace Platform sent out a laser, and it started a big fire and killed a bunch of people. But I think that was the same place where the president, in the first news reel at the very beginning, the president was on the Strategic Space Platform.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Super silly though.
Yeah. Is there anything else on that newsreel that we learned?
That was all I had written down was the fire.
But it moves to Bedecker. He's already out of jail, just like he said he would be, and he's going to talk to Dick Jones. He's all fucking scarred up. But Dick Jones is basically mad at him that he ratted him out. He's got to fix it. He's got to destroy RoboCop. They talk about how this new Delta City. We haven't really talked about the Delta City thing, but they're building like a brand new city that's going to be like no crime and leave old Detroit just kind of as a wasteland or whatever. But he says that workers for Delta City, that means there's going to be people living in trailers, and that means drugs and hookers and all these things will be around because all these blue collar guys, you know what they're into. And he basically offers Bedecker like to be in control of all that sleaze and crime while they're building Delta City.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like, I need military firepower if I'm going to face that, and he says, well, we are the military, so no problem.
We practically are the military. Yeah. Great scene. And also, this might have been my favorite Bedecker scene when he walks in and like sticks his gum on the woman's thing and is like hitting on her. He's just so sleazy and
he
and
says,
I love him in this movie. He's so good.
He's like, I've got some time later. Maybe you can fit me in.
Yeah.
Just
so gross. So gross.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think next, where do we go? Go back to the factory, right?
Yeah, we're back with RoboCop, and the last time we saw him, he took so many bullets from those cops after he had escaped the Ed 209, and so he's kind of like sitting around repairing himself in this empty warehouse. Also, at this point, the cops have started to strike, so that has kind of been going on in the background. But at this point, there aren't a lot of cops left at the station, and there's not a lot of backup coming if he and Lewis can't, kind of figure things out. At this point, also, RoboCop takes off his helmet, so we get the first scene of Murphy without his helmet, and I think those visual effects are pretty impressive. Of like his face stretched over, like the metal scaffolding of his metal.
Now this movie should have won Best Makeup.
For real, yes, and this is practical effects too. This is no CGI.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, she buys him baby food, brings him a bunch of baby food, which I like. But yeah, you kind of get their scene. They're kind of hanging out, I guess, waiting for them to come find him, right? That's kind of the idea here.
Yeah, because he knows they have that tracking device, so it's just a matter of time before they come for him.
Yeah. And you get to see, they mentioned that the cops are all on strike now. And that the crime is getting out of hand. So you get a shot of downtown. And the driver guy we were talking about earlier with the facial hair, he's watching, or he's just like, there's just like people looting and everything's going nuts. And again, he's watching on TV that I'd buy that for $1 guy.
Yeah.
And just laughing and having a good time.
He breaks the glass in the storefront where he's watching the TV so he can hear the volume.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, so nothing matters anymore. Everyone's all, it's a crime wave that's happening. And Bedecker shows up with the military equipment, and it's this massive fucking like rail gun or whatever it is, just like shoots these exploding bullets of some type.
It's like a rocket launcher. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like a gun, It's not like a normal like RPG rocket launcher thing, but looks like a giant machine gun rocket launcher. And they just start blowing shit up for fun. They just start blowing up cars and storefronts and casually just wasting everything around them.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't even know. I think just goes to the showdown after this, yeah?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, Clarence and his boys show up at the warehouse. And because remember he's got that homing beacon so they can kind of track him wherever he goes. And then there's this big fight scene at the factory. Where do you want to start with the factory fight?
Oh, I don't know. They just show up and start blasting. There's a lot of gunfire happening, bullets flying. The driver guy, at one point, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but he gets him to drive into this giant like toxic waste barrel. Just a crazy addition to this movie. And what could have just been a kind of a boring, just shooting constantly. But he drives into this thing and he kind of like slides out of it and he is like melting, like Toxic Avenger style. Just like a melty kind of like Cronenberg looking creature of a melting guy, and they use it for comedic effect throughout the next couple scenes. Because he comes up to your boy from Twin Peaks there.
Yep.
I can't remember his name.
Ray Wise.
Ray Wise, and
Yep.
just is like, help me, and he's all fucked up looking and gross, and the guy just like screams and is scared of him. Which I thought was really
pushes
funny.
him away. Like, this is his friend, and he's so disfigured from that toxic waste that he can't even stand to look at him.
He just screams, and then he's kind of like, he's all melty and walking into the middle of like where the cars are driving, and is like trying to say help me or whatever, and they just run him over, and he explodes.
Yeah.
And blood and guts everywhere. Yeah, I don't know. There's no more specific moments that I remember until the final couple scenes.
Yeah, each of the henchmen kind of gets dropped one by one, leaving kind of this last shot of Bonniger in this like ravine outside the warehouse, and RoboCop is there too. Clarence gets a shot, or Ray Wise actually manages to drop some big pieces of metal from a crane that kind of pin RoboCop to the ground. But
Nancy Ellen gets shot as well, so she's like crawling towards the gun as this is happening. Yeah.
Clarence goes over to go. Yeah.
Last minute, she blows up the crane room or whatever it is on top, right?
Yep. And that's Ray Wise, so he's not in the picture anymore.
Yeah.
And we're down to just Clarence, and he goes over to finish off RoboCop. But RoboCop gets one good shot with his, like, how would you describe it? It's like he has one Wolverine claw that he used to hack the computer earlier, and he gets a neck shot on Bodiger.
He has this thing that comes out of like the middle finger slot, basically. At one point, he like kind of flips a guy off with it, it looks like, or they're trying to make it look like that. But that's actually what he uses to stick in computer holes, which I don't know. Every computer has a little hole for him to just like stick that thing in there. So they never use that in any other way. But yeah, that's
it's like a Wolverine claw that's also a USB drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he stabs him in the face or in the neck with that or something.
Yeah.
After getting just stabbed as well with a giant metal pole. And that's the end, right? That's the end of Bedecker.
That's the end of Bedecker. Yeah. Not quite the end of the movie, but yeah. All the mobsters have been taken care of. And so RoboCop goes back to OCP headquarters to arrest Dick Jones. And once again, he's stopped by Directive 4, right? He is not allowed to arrest upper management at OCP. And Dick Jones, to get out of the situation, holds the old man, the CEO, the number one guy, hostage.
Yeah, he shows the video first because he can't do anything. He's like, I'm not allowed to do anything, so I'm going to show the video to everyone in the room of him admitting to killing Bob Morton. So yeah, that's what causes him to then take the guy hostage. There's also a quick scene before that. Outside, there's like, I've got Ed 209 out patrolling the area, and RoboCop just shows up and immediately blows it up. Which I just love how useless the Ed 209s are. They make them out to be just so useless. It's over the top useless, even because it looks like a menacing robot. But they make sure to make it completely useless. Anyway, what happens when they take him hostage here?
Oh, yeah, thank you. So they take him hostage, and in that moment, the old man, the CEO, fires Dick Jones. And at that point, Directive 4 no longer applies, right? He's no longer upper management at OCP. And so RoboCop finishes off Dick Jones, fills him full of bullets, shoots him out a window. And then the old man says, "Nice shooting, son. What's your name?" And then RoboCop responds, "Murphy." Cue credits, and that's the end of the movie.
I like he says, "Dick, you're fired." Right when he's being, and then RoboCop says, "Thank you," and then the Prime Directive thing disappears from his
From his vision. Yeah, we
his
can see
vision
that as the
screen,
audience. Yeah.
and then immediately waste him. Good, good
Yeah.
stuff. Chris, do you like it? How many times have you seen RoboCop?
Oh man, this has got to be my fifth time. I enjoyed this movie very thoroughly. It has the violence is over the top. The satire is funny. The cinematography is great. It has a lot of momentum. It's really funny. It's got a lot of action. Um, a true 1980s classic, I think. What do you think of RoboCop 1?
Yeah, it's we talk about whether these movies are timeless or a time capsule. It's definitely a timeless movie.
Yes.
The effects hold up. It's super is poignant the word that I want to say, or just relevant to stuff that's still going on today, like in our country. And I think the satire still works and fits, and it still has stuff to say watching it over and over again, so it's a great movie. I love RoboCop.
Yes.
Clearly deserves more sequels, right?
Without a doubt. And I know you're going to go into financing, but I know it made a bunch of money as a rental, and it made money in the box office, and it creatively certainly deserves sequels. It's like Tanner said, it holds up, and it has a lot to say even in 2023. 36 years later.
Yeah. So, what would you say is the MVP, or do you have any beef at all?
I mean, I've heard some of the criticisms for this movie, like the violence is too much. Some people have said it's like the politics, are maybe either too far left or too far right, because, this is kind of a pro-cop movie. The villain is really the big corporation. I don't have a lot of beef with this personally. I think this movie's dope.
Yeah.
MVP, I don't know. I loved the villains in this one. I think for me, it's got to be the director, Paul Verhoeven, because he manages to add all these little. There's so many like little moments that make this more than just a cop procedural or a shoot 'em up movie. And for what I'm going to talk about when we get to the other IP stuff, I watched an episode of the TV show, and it's really pretty impressive, like what they elevated this movie to versus what it could have been, which is what I saw when I watched the TV show. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The director just kind of elevating all that stuff into a amazing like satire and action movie, and it's can be super funny and entertaining, and classic lines, classic performances. It's all around. He got like a lot out of it. And yeah, it's awesome. Beef, I got nothing really. The violence, honestly, from things that I've seen, isn't that bad. Maybe at the time it was that bad, and even then, I mean, there's tons of super violent stuff.
You were just saying this came out the same year as Predator, which is also super violent and super awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny how this show immediately, I'll talk about it soon, or in the milk, got turned into like marketed towards kids, basically, or this character at least, which is crazy because of how this
crazy.
Movie is. I know, but it makes total sense too when you look at other stuff. Like it can go that way, but I'll get to that in a second. So let's see. This movie performed pretty well at the box office. It had a $13 million budget and made $53 million. It opened up against another movie that we watched, Chris. Jaws: The Revenge.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was pretty good.
Which was The Revenge? Was that number 4? Was that the one with Michael Caine?
Okay. Oh yeah, baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Hot
then
take. I think I'd prefer this movie to that one. Hot take.
What? That's crazy.
I know.
Let's see. I did see the VHS. You talked about that gross of like $26 million. And I saw some interesting stuff about VHS tapes during this that I liked. The price of this VHS was $89.
What?
And I was like, oh, what the fuck? Why was it so expensive? And I learned that VHS tapes in the 80s were like super expensive like that, and people didn't really own anything. Like they had a player, but it was
Okay.
mainly rentals. So like rental places would buy up copies and then rent it out, and that's how they made a profit. But they owned the movie, you know, they had to buy like expensive copies of it. And later this year, the first movie to be priced at like $26 and make it affordable was Top Gun. Um, and so that kind of like started to drive the market down and make it so, you know, like when we grow up, you could buy any VHS tape super cheap.
Yeah, it's like less than $20. This is I had never heard this.
I know, yeah, it was crazy. So most movies were like $80 to $100 to buy on VHS.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool to learn. But yeah, it was a huge rental, a lot of waiting lists, and like one of the top rentals of the next couple years, or at least the next year or two.
Yeah.
And tons of merchandise came out for it, like almost immediately. So this movie was easy to like. You made RoboCop guns and figurines and stuff, and this is kind of what I was going to get into, kind of segue in a minute. That with you know, with kids and stuff like that, so they get a toy, a little RoboCop toy, and it's like, you know, it's easy to market towards kids, because then the very next year they made an animated Saturday morning cartoon show.
Yeah.
But
Which again
I'll
was
talk
like
about
the
that
message from this movie is just
Yeah.
kind of insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and when I watch
Yeah.
it makes sense. It's like violent for a kid show. It's not like bloody or anything, but it's like action packed, and it kind of keeps the same tone, but like just like you know, take away all the blood and stuff. It's kind of just like a shooting. You know, there's always shooting in kids stuff, but there's just no violence.
Yeah.
You know, you think of Star Wars, it's like people just falling over or whatever, just getting shot. Anyway, so I thought it was also a funny little tidbit here that to advertise the VHS of this movie, they hired Richard Nixon to like as like an advertisement, shaking hands with RoboCop, and paid him $25K, which he
Whoa.
donated to the Boys and Girls Club. But it's like it's like a satire, you know. Of course, he would like, because he was like a president that what's the word, was what am I trying to say about Nixon? He
disgraced.
Thank you.
Yes.
And so it's almost like he was part of the satire, but he agreed to be in this commercial for it.
That's
where
so
he is
crazy.
like friends with a RoboCop, because only Richard Nixon would like be okay with, you know, that kind of
like
a city.
Of course Richard Nixon would be pro
RoboCop,
like,
right?
Pro RoboCop, yeah.
He must have needed the money at this point. Although
Yeah.
I guess he donated it all. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting tidbit there.
Yeah.
And the last little tidbit I want to talk about is that it won a Academy Award, Special Achievement Academy Award. And these things are only given to just things that like advanced like special effects and advanced movies in a very significant way.
Okay.
So like since 1987, only like 4 movies have won. The last one was a virtual reality thing. Somebody won in 2017. Before that, somebody won this award in 1995 for Toy Story, for just advancing like computer animated films.
Okay. I've never even heard of this award. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like visual effects are a lot of them over the years. You get like the Poseidon Adventure one they give it to. It's not up against anything. It's just like you like progressed. I'm surprised
you did
Avatar
such a good
didn't
job.
win.
Yeah, for real.
Like Who Framed Roger Rabbit won for animation direction. RoboCop won for sound effects editing. So I don't really know exactly like what made this one so amazing in sound effects editing specifically, but I'd like to like see just like movies before and after RoboCop and how like the sound effects editing changed.
Sure.
But whatever they did won an Academy Award for that, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Some other things throughout the years, like a lot of the Star Wars stuff kept advancing visual effects, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, sound effects editing again, and Superman. Let's see. I also liked this one. The first Star Wars, they gave it the award for alien, creature, and robot voices. Specifically, like,
what did
they
you win your
advanced-
award for, George Lucas? Yeah. Oh, robot voices. Yeah.
He advanced the field of alien, creature, and robot voices.
Yeah. Those little squeaks and blips that R2D2 does, like, won him an award.
It's crazy because it's like it's the only one that's not just like sound effects, visual effects, editing, like just kind of a general overall advancement. It's like
super specific. Yeah.
Yeah, which I love.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's an interesting thing as well. And I think that's all I got about RoboCop as far as extra stuff. Anything else you want to say about it?
No, I mean, great movie. It's a classic. I am excited to get into the other ones with you. And I've got a little bit of milk for this week. Do you got anything?
Yeah.
I know you've got video games. Let me go first. Mine will be a little bit quicker today. I watched I'll be honest, I watched the first half of the first episode. The 1994 TV show, the episodes are all like an hour and a half long. And
wait,
I
all
put
of
it
them
on.
are an hour and a half?
Well, the first episode, the pilot was an hour and a half at least.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I put that on and kind of gave up about halfway through. It has a different actor who plays the role of RoboCop, way more robot, and kind of loses a little bit of the humanity. I would say it's low budget, but there was a huge explosion that they used in the first couple scenes. And so I think what it loses is a lot of those little moments in between the big action scenes that we were talking about before. The satire isn't quite as funny. The Lewis and Murphy dynamic isn't as good. And then a big part of what
are they supposed to be the same two characters?
Oh,
Lewis
it's not Murphy. Or sorry, it is Murphy. It's not Lewis. It's a different woman partner cop.
Gotcha.
And then, but the thing that I think it was really missing, it was syndicated for TV. So the over the top violence, shooting a woman through her legs to hit a guy in the dick, or, like having a guy turn into a toxic Avenger and hitting him with a car, that stuff is all gone. And so in this movie, he goes into to a hostage situation, and instead of shooting the bad guys, he shoots a chandelier, and the chandelier falls on the bad guy. And then the next bad guy, he shoots out the legs of this armoire, and the armoire falls over on top of him. And it really changes the way that RoboCop feels when you're just doing Home Alone hijinks. Instead of shooting dudes in the face, which is what RoboCop does. I don't know. Yeah,
at least we watched Highlander. The Highlander show was able to. They kept the chopping heads off. They didn't show it as violently, but they kept the same level of This movie only works as a rated R kind of thing.
I think so too.
The violence adds to it.
Yeah. Because it sets him apart. He's so robotic and but then he's in this world that's unfair and really violent. I feel like if you take that away, it's not as compelling. So,
and to be in a city that's in need of robotic cops because it's so violent, it's so bad.
Violent. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why do you need a robot cop if everything's just fine?
In just a normal town. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, so I watched that this week, and I also read the entire graphic novel by Frank Miller that goes along with RoboCop 2. So, I'm going to save that
copy, or was it the whole omnibus or whatever?
I just read the first,
the first issue.
I think the whole story, because they have the way they had it on Kindle at least was RoboCop 2 by Frank Miller, and so I read that whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I'll talk about that next week, but I'm going to save that for when we watch RoboCop 2. I'm curious to see what's the same and what's different.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice little teaser there.
Yeah.
I got some milk as well. I watched. Well, let's see. I watched the animated show from 1988 came out like the next year, and this is kind of what I was teasing before, where like they immediately made it for kids and started to market it for kids, and it shows throughout like the series or like the franchise, because by the third one it is like a PG-13 movie, I believe, or maybe even PG. I can't remember, but it becomes like less and less violent over time, and I think it's because of this marketability and the toys and all that kind of just like being so successful that they're just like, hey, we can like make more money if we make it for kids more or something. You know what I mean? So this animated show, you still there? Oh, you
Yeah, I'm
lost.
still with you. I'm still
Okay.
with you. Yep.
All right. This RoboCop show, yeah, it's actually pretty entertaining.
Okay.
But yeah, it's I don't even know what to say about it. It's kind of just a standard 80s cartoon. There's like a gang of people that they get like robot technology or robo technology, and like their dog is covered in armor at one point, even the bad guys, and they kind of have like armored legs, and so
Robo Dog.
yeah, there's a lot of shooting and like violence, quote unquote. It's not bloody or anything, but a lot of action. They even have this thing called the Robo Dozer or the Kill Dozer at the end. Um,
I mean,
and
honestly,
they're
this must have come out like the same time as like GI Joe, right? And
yeah,
that was already, so this fits right into kind of everything else that was going on with kids shows.
yeah, it's like that same
Yeah.
kind of like action level.
Sure.
Yeah, so the main thing is it's the same people. It kind of picks up. It has like Bedecker has killed him in the intro. They show like a little scene of a quick clip of that. And it's in the same universe, except in this one there's this evil, seemingly evil like scientist guy who's made a ED 260, the new model. And he wants, just like in the movie, he wants to get rid of RoboCop and put his robot in the mix.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of where it's leading up to, and they show like this giant robot just directing traffic in the meantime, which is kind of funny. Yeah, there's all sorts of entertaining, crazy moments. There's like a bowling ball attack. There's um, just some fun set pieces, I guess. The killdozer, like I mentioned, and lots of like he calls like, "Hey, Robo Flop," "Hey, Metal Brain," like so many, so many like times that they yell and call him a nickname or something. Or like
Great burns. Those are great
slur.
burns.
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it. Burns, yes. Yeah, anyway. So that's kind of where the series is heading. They want to replace him with a new ED.
Okay.
And it's all right. Yeah, I think there's only 12 episodes. Yeah, it's out there. It's on YouTube for free.
Okay.
And then the last thing I'll talk about is I played 3 RoboCop video games. So there's a good amount of games that I'll play throughout the next 4 weeks, including the new one that just came out this week called RoboCop Rogue City. And I didn't start it yet, but it takes place between RoboCop 1 and 2, I believe. So maybe I'll start to play it this week and talk about it next time.
Oh yeah.
It kind of ties in, and it brings back the same actors as the voice of RoboCop. So it's like the first like legit RoboCop game.
Wait, they got Paul Weller to do the voice?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Is that his name?
I think so.
Yeah. Whatever it is. Weller. Peter Weller.
Peter Weller, sorry. Paul Weller's a singer. Yep.
Yeah, so he's the voice in that one, and then I think it's the same girl too. Nancy Allen.
Cool.
Yeah, so play that, but I played like the original arcade games, RoboCop 1, 2, and 3, which I know we're not to those movies yet, but it doesn't matter for these games at all. They're just kind of typical side-scrolling games. I will put me playing those up on our YouTube. Check those out a little bit. I didn't finish them or anything, but I'm just kind of displaying them or showing them off a little bit.
Sure.
but they're kind of fun. The third one was probably the best. That one's for Super Nintendo. The first one was for like arcade and like a ZX Spectrum computer, which I'd never heard of before. And then the second one was for NES. But yeah, they're okay. Very
Cool.
challenging. The third one, RoboCop 3 for Super Nintendo, is so hard. Like, I don't know if you played a lot of these games growing up, but I did. Like, I owned a lot of these just typical side scroller shooting games, you know?
Yeah.
And they're so difficult. Like, every time you die, you have to start at the beginning of the level in this game. And it's very hard, just unfair. There's not much health to get through. I was even like I would use an emulator for it, and I was like save scumming and reloading over and over again. I still couldn't get past this certain part that I was at. So it's
That
tough.
sounds a little bit. That sounds a little bit like that Indiana Jones game that you played a while back. That side scroller. That
you walk forward and you just keep getting hit by things jumping out at you, and there's
yes,
no way
exactly.
to like. I guess you just have to memorize the path, but still.
Yeah.
I just can't believe those games. Those games were so hard back in the day. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I played those, and I'll play more soon. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think that covers everything. Anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's it. That's it for RoboCop. Take a peek in the show notes. We've got a link to our survey that goes along with RoboCop 1. Make some jokes with us, and we'll read your answers on the show next week when we talk about RoboCop 2.
Yeah, and if you like the show, if you're listening, please like do the rate and subscribe kind of thing. You know, don't make that annoying announcement. You know, sign up and follow us here and there. It helps other people see the show. Yeah, I know there's a few of you out there, so hopefully you're still listening. And we'll see you next week. Take the survey. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.